Hey, friends! Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host, Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey, Hallmarkies! Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, and today I am joined once again by my friend Alex to talk about Hallmark Channel's Countdown to Christmas movie, The Christmas Quest, starring Christopher Polaha and Lacey Chabert. It was written by Marcy Holland and directed by Dustin Reichert. An archaeologist and her ex-husband, an expert in ancient Norse languages, are sent to Iceland at Christmas time to search for the legendary treasure of the Yule lads. When others join in on the hunt, the pair find themselves swept into a thrilling adventure as they race to keep it from falling into the wrong hands. Welcome back to the podcast, Alex. I'm excited to have you
on. Thank you for having me back, Nicole.
Of course.
I'm so excited to talk about this movie with you.
Yeah, me too.
I really, really love this one.
Yeah.
I think it was one of Chris's best movies for Hallmark, one of Lacey's best movies for Hallmark. It was a great Christmas movie all around. I love that it was different because they had the treasure hunt aspect to it. Like we never seen somebody like go through such a quest, like as the movie title, the Christmas Quest. That's what I love, that it had that different aspect to it, but it still had like its Christmas feels and all that made the movie what it was. But I loved everything about it.
Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I had a couple of misses, which I'll mention when we get to it, but overall, I think it was a great movie and they had great chemistry. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree with
you. Some of your other first impressions on this movie?
Also love that Erin Cahill got an appearance in this movie. Can we talk about that?
As her mom?
I love Erin. As her, yes, as Lacey's mom. I love that she made an appearance. I also liked how the movie starts out with like her mom trying to find this book of the 13 Yule lads, and it brings her on this treasure hunt. And I love that part of the story. And I love how she read the book to her daughter, who was Lacey, and telling her this story. And now, as an archaeologist, Lacey's part, she's asked by someone who works in her. I think the man works in her department. He asks her to go on the quest because he believes that they have the location of where the treasure is. So she winds up going on this whole quest and bringing Chase, who's played by Chris Polaha, who is her ex-husband, along with her. And they go on like this whole adventure. But like you said, Iceland, like the location was gorgeous, gorgeous. I love every single Iceland movie I think they've done on Hallmark. This was just another great one out of the rest of them. And no, I just love the whole, like, I love the element of the movie, like the element, the meaning of the movie, always being like true to who you are and like remembering like what's important. I love that about this movie. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with everything you said. And speaking of Iceland, that was a character all on itself.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. For me, one first impression I got was this was a little bit like National Treasure at Christmas in a way.
Yes. I was reading those comments, Nicole, from like everybody, like on Twitter. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm getting like Indiana Jones, like National Treasure vibes." And then I thought about it for a minute. I was like, "Oh my God, these people are right. It's immediately what I'm thinking about." Yeah.
And National Treasure is one of my favorite Walt Disney Pictures movies.
I love that movie too. I love the first one. The first one's my favorite. I watched the second one, but like I feel like nothing can beat the first one.
I mean, I loved the first and the second one. They were both great.
Right.
But I think the first is my favorite. There were some great scenes in both, though.
Right. No, there were.
Yeah. Of course, I love, Nicolas Cage's character, and I can't remember the female lead's name.
Yeah, I can't. Me either, but I know what you're talking about. Like I have her face pictured in my head. I just can't remember her name.
Her name is Diane something, I think. And I think her character's name is Elizabeth, maybe, possibly.
Yes.
But my favorite character, I think, is Riley.
Yes.
The sidekick.
The sidekick. I was gonna say, isn't that his friend in the movie? Me too.
The scene when he's sitting in the bathroom stall when they're
It
getting the
really is. It's a
declaration.
great movie. Right.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
And
It's a great movie overall.
yeah, I love when, Nicolas Cage's character and Diane's character, they're, going back to the elevator and the elevator doors open and, the people that they're trying to get away from are like standing right there and he's like, no. Riley's like sitting in the bathroom stall and he's like, no, you gotta run. You gotta get away.
I remember that scene now that you bring it up.
But anyway, we are getting down a rabbit hole back to the Christmas quest.
Mm-hmm.
Two messages I got out of this movie. One is a quote from Ole, and he was actually reading the chalkboard from the cafe or at the cafe. And he says, you can't chase happiness. You have to find it where you are. Christmas time with the ones that you love. That's the greatest treasure of all.
Mm-hmm.
And then appreciate the things right in front of you. And that was from Chase to Stephanie.
I love both of those quotes because they're both so
Yeah.
meaningful and so
Yeah.
true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too. So going to our hits, what were some things that you did like about this movie and any favorite scenes?
Yeah, there were a couple of favorites.
Mhm.
I love the scene like when they were first, it was towards the beginning when they first get to Iceland and the first place that they go to was the church at
Mhm.
night when they're going to the church and and they're by like the floor, by like the chessboard floor.
Yeah.
And Chase was explaining to Stephanie about like chess and something like that. And Stephanie goes to Chase. She goes, "Well, I'm kind of a Monopoly girl."
Yes, I love that.
I thought that was a cute scene. He goes, "Well, you should have let me show you how to play chess. You would know." That was
Yeah.
a really cute scene that I like. What's another favorite scene? Oh, I also love the scene where they're on the expedition to find the treasure, where they go into like the cave,
Hmm.
in like the inside outside like cave, like in
Yeah.
Iceland. And by accident, Stephanie steps on the piece
The
and the door comes down.
yeah,
That door, not
they
a
get
door.
stuck.
The cave. Yeah, they get stuck in there. And the woman who was an ancestor, did we ever
Yeah.
get her name in the movie? I
Carlotta.
don't. I think towards the Carlotta. Okay, Carlotta sees them and she asks for a trade. And the trade is her
Yeah.
mother's book, which has all the
All the
clues in it to get the
secrets.
treasure, so they can
Yeah.
get out. Stephanie didn't want to give it to her because it's like
Yeah.
her mother's like keepsake.
Hmm.
Like, I don't want to give this to
Yeah.
this stranger. She didn't know who
Stranger.
she was at first,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
they have to do a trade, and Chase throws her up the book,
Hmm.
and Stephanie goes, the rope, and then I thought for a second that she was gonna leave them there until she was
I
sitting
did
on the rope.
too.
Did you think that?
Yes. I was like,
I'm like,
hello.
she's gonna leave them there. Like she can't. They're gonna. So when she throws them down the road, I love what Chase says. Well, she didn't look like a Girl Scout. She didn't look like a Girl Scout. I was cracking
Yes.
up when he said that.
Yeah.
That was a really funny scene. I'm glad they got
Hmm.
out of the cave that they were in.
Yeah.
What was the other favorite scene? I love when they were going to the ball too, like the dinner
Oh,
event
yeah.
ball, and they were
Yeah.
in the hotel room, and she comes out like in the blue like sequins dress,
That was a nice moment.
and they like look at each other, the two of them, and he's like the tuxedo
Yeah.
on, Chase. But I have to say that's one of my favorite Hallmark dresses, like costumes of
Yeah.
all time. That
It was
dress was
beautiful.
gorgeous,
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Hmm.
I think those would be like my top three favorite scenes I could think of right
Yeah.
now. But what were
Yes.
yours?
Well, for me, not scenes, but I loved the plot of, the exes coming back together, falling back in love.
Yes.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I have to say about Carlotta, I guess this is the correct way to put it. I really
Mm-hmm.
liked the enemy to ally arc with
Yes.
her when she
Yes.
helps them
I
out in
did
the end.
too. When I was watching the movie, I'm like, I immediately thought, I'm like, this girl's gonna wind up finding the treasure before they do. I honestly thought that at first. I'm like, she's gonna wind up finding
Yeah.
this treasure before they do, and this is gonna be a problem. But then when I
Yeah.
found out who she was, I was like, oh, she's the ancestor. I was like, oh, this makes sense now.
This makes
But
sense.
I like
Yeah.
that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand her point because she wanted to make sure the treasure didn't go into somebody who didn't do the right thing by the treasure.
She didn't want it to become, kind of like a thing for the press, if that makes sense. She didn't want to
Right,
have it
right.
exploited.
She didn't want to have it.
Yeah.
Yes, exploited. That's the yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that way, this movie with the treasure aspect and Carlotta not wanting it to be exposed, it reminds me of Pearl in Paradise with Christopher
Yes.
Polaha.
Yes. Yes. So that's what I thought about too. I was like, this is kind of giving this vibes in that movie. Plus, that's like one of my favorite Hallmark movies of all time. It's Chris and Jill are both in
Yeah,
it. Like, yes, yes, the same type of scenario.
that's actually one of my favorite Chris Polaha movies and one of my favorite Hallmark
Right.
movies.
Me too. Yep.
It's
Definitely like
not Christmas.
besides right, non-Christmas,
Hmm.
yep. Favorite Chris like besides Mystery 101, which is non-Christmas,
Hmm.
but that's definitely my
Yeah.
favorite Chris and Jill movie. But yes,
Yes.
definitely the same scenario. Definitely the same scenario.
Yeah. I loved the friendship with Stephanie and Oli. I thought that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wanted to see a couple more scenes, maybe of a backstory of their friendship. That would have been
Right.
nice.
Yeah, I feel like that was like lacking a little bit. I wanted to get more like info on how
Hmm.
like they became friends and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like a little bit more info. But I found it so funny too how when they were in the market scene I'm thinking about right now, and like
He had the Yule
she
lad
introduces him,
costume,
yeah, and
the cosplay.
Stephanie introduces him to Chase, and like Chase is standing
Yeah.
there, like he's like a little bit jealous. I'm like, what's going on with these two?
Yes.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. And it was kind of funny in the scene after that when they're on their first stop, after the Christmas market. I think Stephanie said it was most likely a Vikings longhouse. And Chase asks her, were you two a thing? And she was like, no.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And
Her and
then she asked
Ollie.
him, "Are you seeing any?"
Ollie.
Right. And then she asks him back, "Are you seeing anybody?" He goes, "No."
No. And you can see, at least in my opinion, in their eyes, kind of a longing look like they
Yeah.
miss being
Yes, I
together.
definitely onto that too. Yep. Hmm.
I also love the quote in the scene when they get there and she's reading the inscription on the rock, a light in the darkness will show the way.
Hmm.
And that was a
Yeah, I love
great
that.
quote.
Yes. Because that's very, very true. A light in the
Yeah.
darkness will show the way. And I
Yes.
totally believe that.
Yeah, me too. And then Stephanie talks about her mom, and Chase encourages her that she'll finish what her mom, started. So
Yes.
I thought that was great.
Hmm.
This scene was kind of comical. The one with Chase, Stephanie, and Ole at Cafe Rosenberg when they're talking
Yeah.
about the fermented skate. And I wrote in parentheses in my notes, looks disgusting.
Trust me. Like anything fish related, Nicole, like, I don't know. There's only a number of like fishes I can eat, and that's shrimp, clams. Have I tried? No, I think I've tried lobster before, and it wasn't that bad. Lobster, I'm not a fan of crabs, but like anything like crazy fish related, like I can't eat it. I don't know. I just don't like. I just don't like the texture. Like it just, I just don't
I
like the texture.
couldn't have that, but I like shrimp
Hmm.
when they're grilled or fried,
Same.
salmon. I like
Yeah.
crab, and
Hmm.
I like oysters, and
Ooh. Yeah, some people love oysters. I know that. I feel like those are like the basic ones. Like I can't do like the
yeah,
crazy like octopus. Like
uh-uh.
not for me. Mm-mm. It's funny because my grandmother used to love octopus. Like we used to get galamar for Christmas time. She's always used to eat the little octopus in the
Yeah.
galamar. They used to be her
Oh,
favorite. I was never a fan.
is that what calamari is?
Yes.
Oh, wait, never mind. I take that back. Yes, I love calamari.
Yeah, right? Is it? I think it
I
is.
think
Don't I always
so.
call it right?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Fermented skate, no, thank you.
No. It was like I was just looking at it. I was like,
What
ew,
even
no.
is that? Is that
It was
what the
I
actual
don't
fish
know.
is called?
I don't know. It might be. I wouldn't be surprised. It is Iceland, so whatever they eat there is probably
Yes.
very adventurous.
Yes. I mean, I'm not making fun of the culture and the food there, but
No,
I
not at
can't.
all. No.
Not for me.
Ugh. No, not for me either.
And this isn't seafood, but I have had escargot before, which I think is snail, and it's actually
Yeah,
not
it
that
is.
bad.
People have said that. People, I just don't. I never had the. I never wanted to try it before. I don't know.
You should
But I
try
guess
it.
I heard some people do love it, and then some
Yeah.
people don't like dislike it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's not that
Right.
bad, actually. I had it when I was in middle school. My French club at one point in the year, I can't remember if it was sixth, seventh, or eighth grade, but we went to a French restaurant in downtown Charleston, and I think that was one of our appetizers, escargot.
Right. I remember. Yeah, I remember you told me this
Yeah.
before on another podcast. I was like, oh, interesting.
Yes. But anyway, back to the Christmas quest. Another favorite moment was with Chase and Stephanie when they're hiking to the falls. So I think this is before they get to the cave that they get trapped inside of. And
Right.
he's asking her about which Christmas Carol ghost she would choose to be visited by. And she says past. And at first, she doesn't pick her own past. She picks, a couple of other things like
Right.
I think she mentioned Benjamin Franklin, I think.
I think so. I think.
And hers was the Christmas in Bangor, Maine,
Mm-hmm.
when they made the
Yeah.
hot tea, I think,
Yes.
or the
Yes.
hot cocoa. I think it
I
was
remember that
tea.
conversation. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was. I remember that conversation briefly, but I know that part when Chase brings that up to her and they
Hmm.
start like having that
Yeah.
conversation. That was a sweet
Yeah.
scene.
That was a great scene. Another top favorite scene, I think, is when they're back at their hotel and they're talking over wine about Iceland, her mom, why he fell in love with her, and why
Hmm.
she would tangle the Christmas lights. And then they decide to be friends
Right.
again. That was a
Right.
great
That's
scene.
one of my favorite scenes
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
Definitely.
And the scenery outside the room was beautiful.
Yeah. Gorgeous. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, another favorite scene, or one that I really enjoyed, was them making the leaf bread with Brigitte
Yes.
and decorating the tree with her and her husband, Yon. I think I pronounced that right.
Yes. Yes. That's his name. Yep.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
I loved how funny that scene was too.
Yeah.
That scene
No,
was so
you're
funny
fine.
because when he was trying to make the imprint chase
Yeah,
and he started with a snowman, he goes, "It's a
a
Christmas
tree.
tree." That was definitely a cute scene. I love that they rescued their little kid, the cat, and brought it
Yeah.
back to them.
Yes.
Very sweet.
Yes. Love a good Christmas tree and baking scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a staple for the Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yes. Another good scene was Chase and Stephanie on the Saint Thorlax Day Walk for Peace and their conversation
hmm
about, his mom and her mom and their
hmm
time together. And Chase
Yeah.
says, even knowing how it ended, I would do it all again.
hmm I
That was
know.
really sweet.
Very super sweet.
Yeah. I think in that moment, you could really feel them reconnecting, like wanting to be
Yeah,
back together.
but together, yeah. I said the same thing to myself. I said, yeah, these
Yeah.
two are falling back in love again. It's
Yes.
happening.
Yes. Can we talk about always jamming out to, I think it was God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen in the car? The rock version.
So funny.
That would be me.
That was, that's
That
me
was
in the
great.
car when my favorite song comes on.
Hmm. This was kind of a comical scene and then kind of a little bit of a high stakes scene, but not, 100%. When Chase and Stephanie find the last clue at the Christmas ball in that closet. And
Yes.
the security person comes by and she's like, hello, hello. And he dips her for a kiss. And then she
Yes.
was like, I got to see that movie.
movie. I love what she tells him before. He says to her, Alfred Hitchcock. Have you ever seen it? She goes, I've only seen the birds. And honestly, I think I've seen I've seen the birds that movie once, but only in parts. I remember I told you this on a podcast a while back. We were talking about Alfred
Mhm.
Hitchcock. I forgot which one. I brought up the birds. I've only seen part of that movie, but yes, I love that scene. It was very
It
funny.
was a great scene.
It was
Yeah.
comical.
And then they find the treasure, including the compass and note from her mom. And then
Mm,
they leave, the underground cave, and they kiss.
right.
They have their kiss outside the cathedral.
Yeah.
And they live happily
Yeah.
ever after. Well, there's a scene after that,
Yeah.
but they lived
Right.
happily ever
The
after.
scene, right. The scene in Rosenberg's
Yes.
cafe. I love that
Yes.
they made the connection with Ollie
Carlotta?
and what's her name? Carlotta. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
I love
It's
that
okay.
they like something was gonna start between the two of them at the end of the movie. I thought that was cute.
Yes, me too. So, going to our misses, was there anything that you didn't like about this movie or wished for?
Yes, like we mentioned before, Nicole, me and you, I we both agreed that it could have been a little bit more Christmas feels, like a little more. But I
Mm-hmm.
understand why there wasn't because the quest took over the main aspect of the
Mm-hmm.
movie, so I get why. But there was
Yeah.
a lot of Christmas touches to it.
Yeah, I mean decorations,
Two,
but
right. Two, I felt like there could have been a little bit more action in the movie, but it's like a Hallmark
yeah.
movie. I feel like that was
Hmm.
missing a bit. And yeah, I think those are the two main for me, like the two main things. What about you?
Yeah. I think that was a big thing for me. In my opinion, it didn't feel like there was enough action. Like, I'm glad for what we did
Right,
get, but I
right.
wanted more,
Me
considering what
too.
I said about how National Treasure is my favorite movie. That is packed
Right.
with action.
With action. But the thing is, it's a Hallmark movie. I was actually talking
Yes.
about this with Liz and our other friend Gracie, and we were all like just talking about the movie in general. And that's the first thing Liz brought
Yeah.
up. She goes, I wish there was more action scenes like in this movie.
Yeah.
But she goes, I understand why they weren't given
Yeah.
because it is a
Mm-hmm.
Hallmark movie.
Mm-hmm.
So but like I said, National Treasure, there's like action like every like 5 minutes in that movie. It's like what
Like
scene
scene
after
after
scene
scene after
after
scene.
scene. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite action-packed scenes, I think it was in the first one, if I'm correct, when they're on that square thing that moves and they're trying to prevent the declaration from falling off the
It's so
pillar.
funny. So funny you bring that up. That's the only scene I remember. That's the only scene I remember. I haven't watched it in such a long time. But yeah, that's what I heard. A couple of people were saying that too. They felt like it could have
Yeah.
been more
Yeah.
action in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Hallmark movie, so they did
Right.
well with what they had, I think.
Right. I agree. Hmm.
Yes. I think the only other big thing for me, while I did like the ending, it did leave me feeling like there
You
should have
wanted
been
more.
more. Like when they found the
Hmm.
treasure, I was thinking, that's it?
Right. Well, like you said, we have a little bit like different opinion here, but I
Yeah.
felt like when they got to the end where the treasure supposedly
Hmm.
was, Stephanie winds up finding a letter
The
that
compass.
her yes, and the compass that her
Hmm.
gave her mother at the beginning of the
Hmm.
movie when the movie opens up. She gives her this compass,
Hmm.
and Stephanie says in the middle of the movie to Chase, or more towards the end, oh, my mother
Hmm.
wore that compass her like entire life.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then she finds this letter written to her by her mom saying that
Yeah.
being her mother was the greatest treasure of her life.
Hmm.
And I feel like in that moment, like that was the whole point
Hmm.
of the treasure hunt. It was her to appreciate what was in front of her,
Hmm.
like
Yes.
appreciate the time, like the
Yeah.
time she had with her mom, appreciate Chase, her, even though
Hmm.
they divorced, appreciate him. Like
Hmm.
that's what I got out of the
Yeah.
ending. But I understand where you're coming from. Like you felt
Yeah.
like it wasn't enough.
Yes. I mean, of course, I loved the message that they had at the end
Right.
with what you said, with, appreciating
Right.
the things. in front of you. I
Right.
mean, that's very true. And it's
Right.
something everyone should take to heart. But it did leave me feeling like I want more
We'll
than,
do more. No, I
yeah,
do understand. I do understand
yes.
that.
And I thought the scene at the very end when they're all in the cafe was great too. So,
Right. Definitely the happy
yeah.
ending.
Yes. And was that her mother's compass she was wearing as the
Yes.
necklace?
Yeah, she was wearing
That
the
was
compass at
great.
the end. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
But other than that, I think those were my only misses or wishes that I had. So I
Right.
really enjoyed this movie overall. I thought it was
I did
great.
too. The only thing I gotta add too, Nicole, like one thing I have
Mhm.
to say, like even throughout the movie, I felt like
Mhm.
Chase and Stephanie, they even though they were like you said, they were divorced,
Mhm.
like them falling back in love with each other made them appreciate what they had,
Mhm.
even though it was rough and it was like
Mhm.
hard to get divorced, but them falling back in love
Mhm.
with each other reminded them how much they mean to each other. And I love that. I feel like we
Yeah.
don't get a lot of married couples. We talked about this. I think we talked about this a few times in our previous podcast.
Yes, we
There's
have.
not a lot of movies we see people that are married from the beginning. Like there's always like the aspect of two people, strangers falling in love, and
Mhm.
I love that they were married,
Yes,
like they were a
there's
married couple.
been a couple and more recently, but yeah,
Right.
I love how they're incorporating more married storylines into
No, I do
the
too.
movies. Yeah. Even
Hmm.
though this wasn't a married couple storyline, it was a
Right.
ex-married couple falling back in love. I mean, still, I love how they're
Right.
incorporating more of
Yep.
these kinds of
Hmm.
stories.
Me too.
More, please, Hallmark.
Yes. Yes.
Whether
Yes.
it's
More, please.
movies
Exactly.
or series, hit Nathan and Elizabeth on When Calls the Heart. We would love a wedding, please.
Right. Oh my God. I would love it too. I would just watch just to see them get married. Not gonna
Yes.
lie.
Yes. We
And that would be
need
great for the show. Mhm.
blended family storylines, please. And thank you, Hallmark.
Yes.
On When Calls the Heart, of course. That's what I'm referring to.
Yes. Yes.
And more signed, sealed, delivered, please, with
Yes. Yes. I second that.
James and Oliver and Rita and Norman. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes, please.
You can't end it on To the Moon and Back. You just can't, please.
No. No, they gotta give us more. Mhm.
Yes. But anyway, I really enjoyed the Christmas Quest and thought it was great overall.
Yes, I agree, Nicole. Like I said,
Yes.
one of the best Christmas movies of the year thus far for Hallmark.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be one of the best ones when I
Yeah.
first heard that they were doing the movie together, her and Chris. I'm like, and the whole
Yeah.
concept. I was like, oh, this is going to be a winner for the both of them and the
I think
network.
so too. And I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I think the costume designer for this was Keith Costumes. So the same costume designer from Biltmore
Yeah.
and Holiday Touchdown.
Hmm.
So well done.
Right. Yes, very well done because those two movies
Yes.
were great.
Yeah.
Were so well done too.
Yes. And Marcy wrote Biltmore and
Hmm.
Dustin's directed a couple of other great Hallmark movies I really
Yes.
enjoyed. So well
He
done to
has.
the cast and crew.
Everyone did a great job.
Yes. Moving on to our ratings, what would you give the cast out of five?
Five. Definitely a
I
five out of
said
five.
five. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chemistry.
Five.
I said five for that too. Christmas feels.
I was gonna give four. Give it a
Okay.
four.
I said three,
I
which
usually
is a
say
little
higher than
bit
four. So
lower. But that's okay. I mean, I'm grateful for the Christmas feels we did get with the decorations and,
hmm.
the few Christmas activities. But, me being a lover of Christmas, I would have loved a few other Christmas activities thrown in there
Yes.
for in Iceland. Maybe some Iceland Christmas traditions would have been fun to see.
Hmm. Yes.
And setting,
Five.
I gave it five too. And story,
Five. All five. All five
yeah,
across the board for me.
yeah.
That's no surprise.
Yes. I said four, just based on the
Hmm.
things that I said, but I still really enjoyed it.
Right. Yeah.
And overall,
Five.
I said four, but it was still good. I really
Right.
loved this movie. I don't know if that math adds up correctly, but it was great, like I said.
Right. Yeah. Overall, another great, beautiful Christmas movie for Hallmark.
Yeah, I think so too. So well done. Well, thanks so much, Alex, for joining me. I had a great time, as always.
Yes, we always have a good time, Nicole. I always love reviewing these movies with you.
Me too. Yeah. And I can't wait to have you back on again in the future.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Yes. Me too. All right, Hallmarkies. I think that wraps up our review of The Christmas Quest. If you enjoyed this episode and are watching on YouTube, you can like this video and share your thoughts about the movie in the comments. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure to rate and review, as your feedback is always greatly appreciated. If you want to stay up to date on all of my episodes, you can subscribe to this channel on YouTube or follow along on Spotify, and make sure to turn on the bell so you are alerted when new episodes come. You can also find the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at Swing My Heart Podcast and Twitter at Swing My Heart Pod. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next time. We love y'all. Bye!